Hey everybody, and welcome to Honeybee Entertainment. I'm your Coach B, and today we're going to be exploring the topic of positioning in Overwatch 2, and why it's different or special from other games. So I think to start, we're going to have to go and look at other games. So I've selected a couple that have been in my past that I've really put a lot of time into. I think I can speak efficiently about. So the first one would have to be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. This was definitely for me the very first multiplayer first-person shooter that I can say I got good at. I played a ton of the game. I was 12 years old. I had Twitch mechanics, and ultimately, that's all you needed for the game. The general play style, at the end of the day, was move from one side of the map to the other as quickly as you can. If there's something in your way, you go around it. If that's a person that you feel like you can't kill, you just move around them and see if you can shoot them while you go by. You get to the other side of the map, you turn, and you start going the other way, because the spawn is going to flip, and boom, now you're in your next fight. So ultimately, what you needed to be good was good mechanics. You need to be able to shoot them before they can shoot you, and that's all that it came down to. So it was a lot of fun, and I really did enjoy it. And I think what I enjoyed so much was just that I was good at it, and it didn't really require a ton of thought. At the time, I was just purely thinking about mechanics. And like I said, that's all you really needed. So it got boring after a while because the gameplay loop was the same. And especially after you kind of start to get it, there's essentially maybe one or two other people in the lobby that you're really competing with or against. And the rest of the people are kind of just your casual gamers that are just looking to, shoot some stuff and play Call of Duty, the game that they've been playing for a really long time. So eventually, I had to move on, and my next love was by far Destiny. I played the hell out of that game from day one until the very last day. I enjoyed every minute of it, every little grindy minute of it. I had fun with, and what I really enjoyed was the Crucible, the PvP in that game. So the whole premise of the game was that there were tons and tons of different weapons, each one with different perks. So there's hundreds of thousands of different combinations that people could have in their loadout between their weapons and then also their armor as well. So what did that mean in the Crucible? Well, it meant that everybody felt a little bit different. You had some different things in your arsenal, and they had some different things in their arsenal, and it felt cool. Not to mention that there are these 3 different classes, each one with class abilities and a super ability, and that just added in and of itself a whole dynamic to the game that had not previously, to me, been a part of first-person shooters. And that was something. All of a sudden, you have these new abilities and all of these, different weapon combinations and these builds that you could make simply around a weapon or an exotic piece of armor. And what really caught my attention, like the height of Destiny PvP, was the Trials of Osiris, which was a 3v3 weekly competition where you had to get I believe it was 9 wins on your card, on your Trials of Osiris card, or 3 losses. And after you got that, you had to turn your card in, and you could start a new card. And so the way that worked was, this was like kind of the first really competitive, PvP experience I feel like I had, and that was that it was all a ranking system. So when you were starting, you had a 0-0 card, and you would go against other 3. It was a 3v3 game mode, and you would go against another stack that had 0-0. If you won, you would go against somebody with a card with 1-0. Keep going. If you were 5 and 2. They were trying to put you with people with a 5 and 2 on their card. And so essentially, in order to get all 9 wins, that would require you to be going up against someone else that was trying to get their 9th win. So that just added so much sweat to the competition. There was really just I put so much time into learning angles. There was a very small map pool for this game mode. So taking the time to learn all these different angles and understanding, the different rollouts that teams would use. But it really came down to rotation in this game. Similar to how I was just saying in Call of Duty, you'd run to one side of the map and then you'd either make a 90 or a 180 degree and just go back the other way and wait for the respawns. This was a big cat and mouse game. One team would always start on one side and the other team all the way on the other side of the map. And typically it would be maps with 3 lanes. So, you would go right and maybe they'd go left. And then there'd be a mid fight on one of the horizontal lanes instead of one of the vertical lanes. And it really, it felt like a sport in the fact that this was the first time I was playing a game where my teammates we were making a strategy before the round started, and it's like, okay, this is our game plan. They have a game plan as well. Then after that round, you get to make a decision. Okay, are we going to try doing this again? Or we saw what they did. Do you think they're going to do it again? Should we try to counter that? Should we do this? And it really, like I said, it felt like a cat and mouse game where you had to be smart about where you were going. But like I said, it was just rotation. It was moving, knowing the different places on the map, knowing the sight lines, having the maps memorized. And when you were getting up to, your 8th, 9th win, you're playing against people that also have all of these things memorized. And it starts to feel like, your Counter-Strikes or your Valorants, where it really came down to just opening up angles and how you opened up the angles, how you used your movement abilities to get height or move around through an opening, so you wouldn't get sniped. But like I said, it came down to just kind of knowing the map and being able to rotate around the map. Then there was Overwatch that came out after that, and I spent a lot of time in it. This was Overwatch 1. I have to say, at that point in time, I still was relying almost solely on mechanical skills. Just simply because I think nobody really knew how to play the game to its full extent yet. So what that meant was you could get away with a lot of stuff simply with good FPS skills. So, long story short, I ended up stepping away from the game in about 2018 when there was some different things happening kind of in video game business world, some ethical things, and I just took a little time off of playing games, and when I came back, it was right when just battle royales, everything was battle royales, and so I naturally gravitated towards Apex Legends, which again, it was a game that has these different characters, each one with their, with a super ability, an ability, a passive ability, and there's sort of like Destiny as well. There's all this difference in weapons and what weapons you're gonna find, what weapons the enemy will have. I think they're called modules, different modules you can put on your weapons, like change how they work on certain weapons, and it really did. It added this whole dynamic part of the game of trying to find stuff and build up your arsenal, but again, after a little while of playing the game, all the good players had learned the map rotations, and this goes from I didn't really put a lot of time into Warzone, but the little bit of Warzone that I played, PUBG that I played, there really is just this understanding of different places on the map. Typically they're named even, or people have named them, and you move from one location to another, and you have this set plan. We're gonna drop here, and depending on what we see and who we see, We're either going to go here, we're going to go here. And there's this very clear rotation around the map. You don't stand still, because you have a literal wall coming up behind you. But you also don't stand still because you need to keep moving around the map and rotating around the map, or else there's a team that's going to jump on you. So you have to keep moving to try to find the opportunity for you to jump on the enemy before they have the opportunity to jump on you. And I really did enjoy it. Tons and tons of movement. There's a lot of strategy, but it was one of those games where, for me personally, I could not stick with the battle royale. It didn't quite speak to me. But there also was just something missing. Once again, the gameplay loop just kind of got stale for me. I felt like no matter what, every game sort of felt the same. Even though I'm dropping somewhere different and I'm getting different weapons, I'm always essentially trying to go to the same places on the map. Because I know that, okay, this is a big tall rock. If somebody gets up there before I can get up there and they have a sniper rifle, I'm going to die. Or, just the simple fact that, in that game specifically, it was like the zip lines for a lot of high stuff. Controlling the points that you could get to vertical places, that was really important. And just having a general understanding of the strong points on the map. There were very clear, good positions. And essentially, again, good positioning, bad positioning in that game was just how effectively you could move from one good position to another good position. So, so we've kind of covered 3 games now. Call of Duty, we've discussed Destiny, specifically the Trials of Osiris, and now Apex Legends. And I think each one of those kind of cover, a different place in time, but also a different type of game. Call of Duty is just a foundational FPS game. I think everybody has played Call of Duty. That's kind of sort of the baseline for a lot of FPS. If we're going to compare first-person shooters, I think we need to look at Call of Duty. I think that's important. Next, Destiny. For me, Destiny, maybe I'm mistaken, but that was kind of the first game I ever saw where there's really these big dynamic class-based features where, and even then subclasses within those different classes, and just how that affects the game. The ability to turn the game with a super, turn the game with a well-placed sticky grenade, fighting for places on the map. There's definitely, like I said, there's this economy almost with the supers and understanding the supers and the abilities. And that was just huge. That was a big thing for me. I loved how big and fast and fun everything felt. In that game, a Titan running up on you and slamming you just felt, even when you're getting slammed, it's like, oh shoot, oh, it's just like I just got hit with a freight train. It felt fun, with all these cool, colorful abilities. And then Apex, very similar thing. There's a lot of fast pace, a lot of movement, all of these different class features that you get, character features, and also just, it's big, colorful, fun, and then it's just a battle royale. And I think that's, I just want to point out a different kind of genre within the FPS world and make sure that we cover that as well. So now, Overwatch. What is good positioning in Overwatch, and why is it different than the other 3? So the other 3, we can boil it down, I think, into 3 categories. Being good with positioning in those games, you required 3 different things. Good movement, understanding the movement in the game and how to use your character movement or your class movement, or just understanding when to sprint and when to crouch and when to go prone, when to walk, and then finally understanding the Map knowledge is just the biggest part, I would say, in all of those. If you understand the Battle Royale map and know the strong points and how to rotate between them, that is how you're going to find positioning based off of places that provide that positioning for you. Same with, with the Trials of Osiris with Destiny. There are very set paths around the map, and not knowing the paths and being careless about where you are going, even splitting up with your team and going off a wrong angle, could just cause that whole round to go downhill. So you need to understand all of the small, tiny intricacies of the map, and same with Call of Duty. Understanding the map, knowing how to run around the map, very important. And I would say that is by far, there's different guns you can use. People have different loadouts, but that doesn't really matter. What really mattered was that I knew the maps, I knew the spawn points, and it was just that. You can't win if you don't know where I'm going to spawn and I know where you're going to spawn. So Overwatch requires a lot of the same. We take movement and aim, and we're just going to compress those down into mechanics. So that's all of your character abilities. That is your ability to aim your weapon. That is your ability to strafe, your ability to use your movement to avoid damage or to put yourself in a good position. All of those things would be mechanics. And then, obviously, map knowledge. There is a ton of maps in Overwatch, multiple different game modes, and you need to understand all of the maps. You need to know where all of the health packs are, and if you're going to succeed, you really need to just have it be second nature. You can't be looking around the map. You need to be able to walk backwards, know where to go, and just take actually having the intricacies of the map down, very important. But the last part, and this is a term that just kind of gets thrown around a lot in Overwatch, is game sense. And game sense is by far the most important thing when it comes to positioning in this game, because honestly, that alone is what's going to decide everything about your positioning. So here's just a small list of things that would be part of game sense. The first one being just understanding your character's abilities, how they work, how you can utilize them, and the best way to utilize them, as well as understanding your enemy's abilities, just understanding all of the character's abilities, how they synergize with one another, interact or counteract with one another, and just having an understanding of all of that. Huge. The next thing would be understanding what ultimate economy is, understanding the time it takes for your character to build their ultimate, the amount of time it takes for enemies to build their ultimate, just understanding, hey, their Reaper's been doing a ton of damage, I bet he has Death Blossom. That would be a simple, understanding of ultimate economy, as well as understanding a character. Next thing would be, with all of those different abilities, how the characters play, how they want to play, how your character wants to play, and how every single one of those play styles is going to have a window of opportunity and a window of punishment, and understanding where those windows are and where those breakpoints are, and how to exploit them. And the last thing would be round tempo. And this gets broken up into 3 different parts. There's the pre-fight or the setup phase. There's then the main engagement. And then there's the mid-fight or reset. And all of those are kind of really important because it's 3 different phases of a battle that are going to happen really, really quickly. And you are probably going to want to be positioned differently for all 3 of those different pieces. So the reason Overwatch is different is that there aren't necessarily good positions. Positioning is a completely contextual thing based off of where you are with what you have, what's around you, where the enemy are, the abilities they have up. It comes down to how much how much ammo you have left in your weapon. And so let's just do a quick example, right? So I spawned over there. So on this side here, people are coming out over here, right? High ground. High ground is something that people are always saying. You always want to take high ground. High ground, it gives you a good position. And, throughout history, inside of video games, we even have a phrase called fighting an uphill battle. It is, clearly I have an advantage because I'm shooting like this, and they have to shoot like this. It's a lot harder to shoot like this. So I have high ground. This is a good position, right? Well, it could be a good position. In fact, I think that, we can say, generally speaking, high ground is a good position. However, there are so many different things that could make this a bad position. So I'm right here. I'm shooting in this door, right? All of a sudden, what happens when someone comes through here? Am I still in a good position? No, it's like I'm standing in the middle of a hallway, actually. I can maybe go over here. Oh, I fell down. Shoot, I'm in someone else's line of sight now. Okay, well, maybe I can go down. Oh, no, I'm still in someone's line of sight. I can push. Okay, never mind. Okay, try to run this way. You see, all of a sudden, a good position for all of this became a really bad position for that. Now, game sense, might tell you, oh, I hear footsteps, or maybe even, hey, I haven't seen the tracer in a long time. Is the tracer somewhere? I'm going to take a quick look. Oh, shoot, there's the tracer. Game sense might cover up some of those things. But you need to understand that there are so many different paths that you can take in Overwatch, and all of those paths are made, they're made by the movement of your team and the enemy. So, once again, let's say, there's people coming out of spawn. I want to do some chip damage over here. I can do some chip damage. This isn't a bad position. I could even be standing right here. I might take some damage, but I'm in cover now, right? And I can just keep backing up this way. And look at that. I'm safe. I'm out of the line of sight, and I'm in a arguably good position. So this wasn't a bad position because I know there's no one behind me. I know there's no one over here. And I'm just going to take this time to do a little bit of damage. Similarly, right here, this could be a good position for, shooting over here, testing up here. But is this a good position, trying to shoot stuff over here when I know there's people coming through here? No, because I'm going to get pushed out, right? So there is no good position based off of map. A good position is based entirely off of where other people are, what you have. I think that's the next thing. Echo. I've played a lot of Echo, so this is just I'm gonna use her as an example. Echo's ultimate ability lets her copy another player on the field, another enemy on the field. That alone can be a very powerful ability. And this is all part of game sense here. That can be a really powerful ability. But I might not want to use it just to copy the Bastion to turn into a turd and go, right? That could be really beneficial, and depending on the situation, that might be the play. But typically, how Echo wants to use her ultimate is that she's going to take a really aggressive angle and try to do as much damage as they can before, getting killed. When they're about to get killed, they press Q, and all of a sudden, they can turn that fight. They have their second life. Very similar with D.Va. D.Va is allowed to take really, really aggressive positions when she knows she has her mech, because it's a second life. And so, these are a couple examples with the ultimate. Let's see here. Baptiste has an immortality field, right? Baptiste can take some, good angles right here. I can take this. I'm open to so many different places to take damage, right? But as soon as I feel like I'm taking much pressure, I can throw my immortality right there, and I can stay here for a little while longer before I step back out. Another one would be, let's see here, soldier with a healing station. A soldier with a healing station up, allows him to even, take an angle there. Everyone's over here. He's gonna run around back here, and he's gonna pop out, and he's gonna start shooting everyone. Right now, if someone tries to turn around for him, he can turn back this way, quickly throw down his healing station, heal back up, and then make a new decision. Am I going to re-engage? Is this person still coming? Am I going to go look for a new angle? Now that they've run that way, I have an opportunity to attack over here. It allows him to take a good position, a different position, because he knows he has a resource. Kiriko is a great example. Kiriko has 2 abilities that allow her to take really aggressive positions, knowing that she can remove herself. So she can be in a arguably bad position, right? Just like throwing kunais here, strafing. But she hits, she gets hit, and she's like, oh shoot, I don't feel comfortable anymore. I'm going to teleport over to my team. I'm immediately in a position that arguably, hopefully you're not blindly TPing, but it's going to be a safer location because I'm more than likely by my other support now. I'm more than likely by my tank now. I'm in a stronger position with my team. So these are just some examples with different abilities in the game, but the real reason that I think Overwatch positioning is so much different than other games is that it has every single thing that other games have. It has your need for angles, your need for cover, range, all these things. But the big thing is tempo. Coach Spilo, who if you've never listened to him before, I would highly recommend you go look up his content on YouTube. I think he also does streaming content. But something I picked up from him that I have really tried to embed into my gameplay as much as I can, remind myself all the time. It's a mnemonic device for finding good position in Overwatch 2. It's CART, C-A-R-T. C stands for cover. So obviously you want cover. Everything, like I was saying, I was giving some examples where you could take really aggressive angles without cover, but a good position, you have some cover. Even if that's here, just kind of moving like this, this is cover, right? Another example would be if someone is down here shooting, I can back up here. I'm in cover from people here. I'm not in cover from people there though, right? So cover is something that is, once again, a very situational thing, because again, if I'm standing here and someone decides to come up behind me, I no longer have cover. Maybe here, that's my cover, right? I'm trying to find an angle where I'm trying to close off what they can see. And I just even said the next one. A is for angle. You are constantly looking to find a good angle on someone where they don't have a good angle on you. So this is just like straight up going back to the CS and the Valorant and just the really sweaty kind of micro things, like having that. But what it really comes to is the concept of off angles. And that is where another aspect of positioning in Overwatch that's very different from other games. When I was talking about Call of Duty, I kind of mentioned how you were running, and if something was in your way, you kind of just went around them. A good example would be if someone decides to lay prone with an LMG, you can't run towards them. They're just gonna kill you quicker than you can kill them, unless like you're an absolute god who's just gonna jump around a corner and snipe them right away with absolutely no time to make any decisions, right? You need to pretend like every single person, every character in Overwatch has the potential to be an LMG laying prone on the ground. You need to respect the fact that every character in this game can do substantial damage. They have very unique abilities that can allow them to turn the battle in their favor. So what that means is that you're not going to be wanting to take a head-on battle. You know, as often as you can, if your team is engaged here, right, even here, come on over here, right? Find a new angle like this. I'm still shooting at the same place, but I have a new angle. If I wanted to go aggressive, you know, they're in here, I can go over here. I have an off angle. I can force people to come over here, and if they come over here, whoop, I need to go back over here. And now, you know, they're over here, and my team has an angle on them. So that would be the next thing. The next thing is range. The R is range. So every character has a set range. Juno, for instance, that I'm currently playing, has a 30 to 50 meter range fall off. So anything over 30 meters, she's going to be having fall off on her weapon. So she wants to find a really comfortable, like right here, someone in there is out of her range. Okay, right now, okay, people are about in her range. This is good. Again, this I'm not really doing full damage here, but coming up over here, maybe I can get some more damage in, right? So playing to your character's effective range is the next thing. A Widowmaker can take angles that are obscenely far away from everyone else because she doesn't have fall off like other characters do, right? A Tracer cannot sit even if the engagement is on point right here. Even right here, she's doing nothing, right? She needs to be here to do damage. So her positioning is based a ton off of the simple fact that her weapons don't do anything from a distance. Reaper, same thing. Diva, same thing. You know, a lot of the shotgun characters, Sombras, SMGs, and whatnot, they all really want you to get close. And you get punished a lot by being far away. So your positioning is based entirely off of range as well. And the last thing, the T in cart, is tempo. And tempo is kind of everything else that we talked about in game sense. So the tempo is understanding your abilities, understanding that my glide boost has a 6-second cooldown, this has a 14-second cooldown, and this has a 12-second cooldown, or sorry, a 10-second or 2-second cooldown. Understanding, you know, like that my ultimate is going to take, you know, it's going to charge pretty quickly passively, but it's also going to take a second for me to call it in. You know, just knowing kind of how long it takes for things to happen, knowing what it feels like for 6 seconds to pass after you've used your glide boost. That's part of tempo. Part of tempo is also keeping track of other characters' abilities. You know, like I said, the window of opportunity or punishment for a character is very important. A Moira who has just used her Fade is extremely vulnerable. That's the time to do damage to her. She can have status effects applied to her that she can't remove. She can't escape. And all she has to do is sit there and fight or run, throw an orb. So that would be her opportunity for punishment. And the tempo being, I saw that, so now I'm going to take maybe a slightly more aggressive angle for, you know, securing that kill, because an opportunity opened for me, and, you know, most of the boxes are checked. You know, maybe I'm going to have to put myself in an angle where I have slightly less cover, you know, but I'm going to be able to secure the kill. So what else would be in there? Tempo would also involve what I had mentioned with round tempo. So round tempo is the 3 aspects: the pre-fight, fight, and mid-fight or reset. All of those parts of the fight are going to be different. So if I'm a soldier, maybe I'm going to start I'm able to set up really quickly. Maybe I get over here and I start doing damage here in the pre-fight. And then as the fight's going off and everyone's coming over here, maybe I'm then going to drop down here and I'm going to take this angle, or I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take an angle around here, right? And then when everything's closing back up, people are over here, I'm going to try to, maybe I did a whole rotation around this, and now I'm coming back around here, and I'm going to try to maybe secure a kill in that mid-fight, or I'm going to reset over here to a good position. So all of that, understanding where you're at in the round. Okay, we just let's see here, we just lost 3 people. It's just me and my DPS now. All right, we are at an advantage at this point. The mid fight is in our, we have a disadvantage mid fight coming our way. So for us to reset, what's that going to look like? It's going to be looking like really kind of passive angles, very defensive. We're going to be backing up. We're going to be doing damage as we're going back. We're using our map knowledge that we can move backwards, right? All of those things kind of go into the tempo. Where you're at, where your teammates are at, the abilities you have. All of those things are what's going to allow you to make a more adequate example. Why are my words all of a sudden disappearing? Decision, that's the word. An adequate decision on where you should be positioning at that point in time. So, in conclusion, the reason that Overwatch positioning is so much different than other games is that it has all of the same things, but it adds in about 20 other things for you to keep track of, whether that be all of your abilities, your super, your teammates' abilities and supers. And obviously, you don't need to be micromanaging, like, oh, my my Reaper just used his fade. Okay, he used his fade, and you'll know he'll have it up soon. But you don't need to be counting in your head. 1, 2, no, But understanding that, okay, my Reaper just lost that resource, that's important. Like I said, keeping track of all of those little intricacies is all so important. And the positioning, in the past, we've talked about rotation, we've talked about knowing the map and moving from strong point to strong point. The reason that Overwatch is different is that strong point is very, very contextual, and it changes based off of all of those little micro things that you need to be managing. And a good position 30 seconds ago, right here, could have been a great position, and now I'm dead because I didn't move, right? So, in conclusion, again, let's see here. I'm just going to give you guys cart again. Positioning, if you want to get better at it in Overwatch, you're going to need to remember cart. Cover, angle, range, and tempo. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I've been Honeybee. Have a great night.